This week, we welcome Daniel DeCloss. He's the president and CEO of PlexTrac. We're going to talk about what makes a good pen test report. In our second segment in the security news, how hackers can hijack your local airport, Baltimore to buy $20 million in cyber insurance, a dangerous Kubernetes bug that allows authentication bypass and denial of service, and using machine learning to detect IP hijacking. In the final segment, we have an interview with Peter Cruz, the co-founder of CSIS Security Group. It is a pre-recorded segment, and we discuss cybercrime, threat hunting, spear phishing attacks, and some really good intelligence about how botnets are put together and maintained today. All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Effectively securing your organization and its reputation requires a smarter approach. To maximize efficiency and minimize risk, security experts turn to Logarithm, the only leading solution built solely for security teams by a security team committed to your success. With next-gen SIEM, user and entity behavior analytics, network traffic and behavior analysis, security automation and orchestration, and compliance, Logarithm provides security made smarter. The question is simple. Have any of the systems on my network been compromised? The answer is harder than it should be. Enter AI Hunter. Active Countermeasures has automated and streamlined techniques used by the best pen testers and threat hunters in the industry to create AI Hunter, a network threat hunting solution that does the first pass of a hunt for you to identify systems that are most likely to be compromised and scores the results on a scale from 0 to 100. You can then research those systems in depth with AI Hunter. Focus your valuable time on the systems that need your expertise with AI Hunter. Sign up for a personal demo today at securityweekly.com/ACM. Are you an enterprise dissatisfied with overpriced analytics software that can't keep up with modern data? If so, then GravWell is the solution for you. GravWell is an unstructured data analytics platform for enterprises who demand total data visibility across their network. GravWell lets your security team go beyond the SIEM and fuse data sources to correlate and answer questions you didn't know needed to be asked. Go to gravwell.io/securityweekly for an unlimited data trial and gain uncompromising visibility today.
And welcome to the show. But first, let me introduce you to the man with the master plan. Sometimes that master plan involves baiting. I don't know. Mr. Asadorian.
Welcome, everyone, to Paul's Security Weekly. It's episode 623.
Did you say Balls Security Weekly?
I said Paul's Security Weekly.
I heard balls.
Your mind is in the gutter tonight already. It is Paul's Security Weekly, episode 623. Being recorded on October 17th, 2019, right here in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island.
Hell yeah.
Larry, you're here in the studio. Welcome.
I am. For this week, next week I will be I'll be upside down. Literally. Yeah. Well,
and figuratively?
And figuratively.
Or literally?
I won't be upside down. I'll be in the same hemisphere, but I'll be upside down time-wise.
Yes.
So, yeah,
I'll be to Australia?
Singapore.
Singapore.
Which is exactly 12 hours difference from home.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to suck.
You'll have fun.
Yeah, I will.
On the lines remotely, Mr. Lee Neely is here with us. Lee, welcome.
Glad to be here to get straight to the point. We're here from the Livermore Enclave again, and looking forward to a fun show today.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Joff Fire is also here with us. Joff, welcome.
I'm here. I'm back.
He's back. It's been a while, Joff.
It's it's good to be here. I'm here from the Joff Enclave rather than the Livermore Enclave. It's good to be here. And you totally said balls. I could hear it.
Your minds are both in the gutter.
Yep.
Yep.
Are
there no announcements for this segment? Is that true?
Oh, there is. I've got one.
Okay. It's not on the teleprompter, but in any case.
Okay.
Joff, let's go with your announcement.
I'm going to announce two things. One, Wild West Hackin' Fest happening next week in South Dakota, the lovely South Dakota. I hope I'll see some good friends there. And the second announcement I'm going to put out there, and that is Pentest Hackin' Fest. Pentest Hack Fest up in Bethesda, Maryland, which is a SANS event, which is coming up in the latter half of November, where I will be teaching Sec 573, automating information security with Python. Hope to see you there.
Nice.
We have exciting news about the webcast program here at Security Weekly. We're partnered with ISC Squared as an official CPE provider. You get 1 CPE credit per webcast. Go to securityweekly.com/webcasts to see the upcoming ones. To visit the library, go to securityweekly.com/on-demand, or you can go to our new somewhat fancy website and click the webcast menu. Is that a thing? There's a webcast menu, right?
It's a thing.
It is a thing. There is a webcast menu. Is there any more announcements? Okay. We're going to jump now right into our interview with Daniel Kloss. Dan is the founder and CEO of PlexTrac and has over 14 years of experience in cybersecurity. Dan started his career in the Department of Defense and then moved on to consulting, where he worked for various companies, including serving as a principal consultant for Veracode on the penetration testing team. You can find out more at plextrac.com. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on.
Yes, it's now creating the product that you've created. I had to imagine that you had a background in penetration testing.
Yeah, I've been a pen tester for quite a while now. More on the application security side, like you mentioned, like with Veracode and having a niche. Everybody hates writing reports. Nobody likes writing reports. And so having to deal with the templating of different Word documents and always having the PDF, coming out looking wonky and things like that. And then just not really feeling like the deliverable really expressed all the hard work that went into it. Felt like there had to be a better way. So that's kind of what the impetus for PlexTrac really started. Was more on the report writing side. And then I actually started building out a blue team in my most recent position. And so being the recipient of these reports is like, what am I supposed to do with a really big, thick document? It's still an important artifact of the engagement, but basically PlexTrac has become a client portal as well, where you can write the report in the portal, deliver it through the portal so that it eliminates a lot of the inefficiencies in the whole life cycle.
That's awesome. Dan, how did you get your start before you were pen testing? How did you get your start in information security?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I have probably the most traditional way most people have gotten in. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, and then I went to the Naval Postgraduate School through the Scholarship for Service program, and that's really where I cut my teeth in security. So I was not one of those kids that was growing up hacking in my room, but just fell in love with security through the Naval Postgraduate School. And then went on to work for the Department of Defense from there.
Outstanding.
Now, were you?
So now, Dan, you've left. I'm sorry, Larry, but you've left your day job and you do this full time now.
That's right. Yeah, I quit the day job back in March, and then actually we're excited. I mean, it's been announced we received some funding back in the summer, so we have some capital behind us now. In addition to some really cool clients.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Very nice.
Sorry, Larry.
No, I don't know when the other person I was going to ask about was there, but Naval Postgraduate School, were you there when John Elch was there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We were actually the same class, yeah.
Cool. But I guessed lucky about the age then.
Yeah.
So, Larry and Joff are pen testers, active pen testers today. I've done it in a past life. And so, I'll throw it over to Larry and Joff and Dan, I guess, and talk about what makes a good pen test report. I guess let's start with like what the goal is. Like what's a good pen test report? There's like a whole day on this in like 6 weeks or something. Right?
Oh my God, you could actually teach a class on this, almost at least a day class.
Right.
Lenny Zeltzer has a great class on writing for pen testers.
Well, that's right. That's right. Look, people's opinion is going to differ, but the fundamental structure, first of all, I don't think differs a lot in the industry of companies that have their act together anyway. And I'm not going to disparage anybody.
Nope.
But the executive summary piece is extremely important. You've got to give the C-level people something to take away. Your findings have got to be precise and on point. And then finally, just to give you the rough outline, your methodology has got to be detailed, in my opinion, and has got to be believable and potentially reproducible. So those are the super high level points that make a good pen testing report. And so one of the interesting things here is that findings in particular are something that you literally can store in a database, because they are something that be replicated across multiple reports, because they're very similar, industry wide. And the same goes really a lot for even the summary information. Methodologies where it's going to be different, and it's going to be to the taste of the tester, and to the context at hand. That's where things are going to deviate.
Yeah, and methodology, I mean, you get right down to the command level, like this is what we did.
Screenshots are probably the most valuable tool a pen tester has. And I don't know about Larry, but these days when I'm testing, I am literally reporting in parallel with testing, so that I don't lose track
of what you did.
Of what I'm doing, right? Yeah.
And I will say sometimes that, so Joff, I wanted to step back a little bit, for me, the methodology, for us is in a report is a little bit more generic, but we're also including what we call the attack path. How did we get from point A to point B? And that is often what you were referring to as the methodology.
Yeah, we call it different things.
Yep.
But
it all ends up being sort of the same thing. A rose band, and any other name would still smell as sweet. But having that is amazing. And sometimes when I'm doing that, it is just a collection of screenshots and notes of, oh my God, I did this. It was on this port and that, and this 1 or 12 words about this thing that just happened. And then I'm going back and filling that in either later in the afternoon or during the reporting phase. And it's just enough to be able to juice those memories of what happened.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting document, because it's got to reach a lot of different audiences, right? You've got the executive level that they want to know exactly what the problems are. So you got to be able to speak to those, and then you also have to be able to speak to the analyst or the engineer who's going to receive this and actually have to go fix the issues. So I'm sure we've all dealt with more junior engineers where it's like they can't reproduce the issue that you've documented heavily. So being able to speak to all the different audiences is an important factor. I mean, you mentioned screenshots. A picture says 1,000 words, and one nice thing about PlexTrac is like we can actually put videos into the report, right? So you can actually show your exploit from start to finish. So that makes a really big impact as well for people being able to reproduce issues.
Yeah, I love the video feature.
Yep.
Because
I think that's really interesting. So I think a pen tester that I think the pen testers that are doing it right, and that takes a little bit of experience and hard knocks, are the ones that are screenshotting and dropping it into their reporting mechanism as they go, like almost immediately, because Larry just alluded to it, and I do something that's very, very similar. I would screenshot, drop the screenshot, make a couple of notes, then go to my next thing, do a few more things, screenshot, drop the screenshot, drop a few notes. And there's kind of this continuous back and forth that is building that sequence of what did I do, what did it work, did it not work. One of the things I struggle with, I'll tell you the honest truth is, sometimes in a lot of tests, and it's actually more often than sometimes, there's a lot of parallel activities that I'll fire off at once and then come back and check on them. Classic example is when you're cracking things. You go ahead and collect a bunch of evidence, fire off all the cracking jobs, and then come back and do something else. And one of the challenges with the reporting that becomes really interesting is that you tend to view methodology and attack path as kind of a sequence in time, but the reality is not always that way. The reality is sometimes a lot of parallel discovery tasks that end up leading you down a path of some sort.
Yep.
And it gets it gets a little more difficult to report when you've got that parallel sequence of things happening sometimes.
It also ends up in a difficult when you have this one point where you end up down two different disparate paths for an attack path, and one of them works out and one of them doesn't, but you have to document both.
Yeah.
And sometimes both of them work out, and now you have this path that diverged into wood, and now you need to document both paths. You have to be on both paths at the same time. So
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to just drop one extra comment on that. And some of the worst tests I've been on, not necessarily pertaining to reporting, but this is going to sound weird. The harder tests to document are the less secure environments because there are usually multiple attack paths available, and you're overwhelmed with which path to take. I mean, there are just so many opportunities that you have to actually make a choice, and you want to give them coverage, but that whole business time imperative comes in, and you have to kind of make the hard choices.
Yep. I would also argue the one that is equally as difficult is the environment that has little to no attack path or attack surface. For example, I am coming out of doing a pen test in fairly recent memory of we were given 12 external IPs that were in scope. Of those 12 IPs, there were 8 open ports. 4 of those 8 open ports were based on the configuration of a document from the very large provider that rhymes with Crisco. So they implemented it how Crisco, that they said needed to be implemented. And aside from that, 2 of the other 2 were VPN endpoints, which left 2 ports to potentially have some fun with. And this
sounds like it was really limited in scope, Larry.
It was, but that's all they had. It's literally all they had. They had 12 externally facing IPs. That's their entire IP externally facing IP infrastructure, with 8 total ports.
It brings up an interesting point about like documenting your methodology, right? Because if you're not finding a whole lot, you still want to be able to show like, hey, you guys are doing a great job because you've got XYZ controls in place. These are all the things that we did to try, so it doesn't make it look like you're not doing anything and just delivering them an empty report.
Exactly. And that's always the fear, is that we didn't have any really good findings. We had a bunch of low findings, and well, there weren't even that many of those, and they're going to think we didn't do anything, and they paid us all this money.
Yeah, that's actually pen testers' worst fear, but it really shouldn't be.
Right.
One of the things we've emphasized in Black Hills a lot is, hey guys, don't forget, it's about coverage. Test. Don't just think because you didn't win, it's not valuable. Document all the failures. Document all the paths you went down. The customer needs to see that you tried all these different things. They will see value in it, even if you don't, right?
Well, the smart thing to do, I think, if you're on the blue team, when you get a report like that, build some time in afterwards to say, okay, which of these defensive mechanisms has a high likelihood of falling off, becoming an exposure, right? Someone messed up a configuration or rebooted a firewall or whatever the case is. All right, let's remove that control and then test that path again and see how far you can get. That's where the purple team, I guess, really comes into play.
Yeah, that's where purple teams definitely become. In fact, I had a discussion exactly like this earlier today, where we turned one of our engagements, which is a classic kind of internal, transparent, collaborative engagement, into that purple team discussion. I mean, it was exactly that meeting.
Now, Dan, I want to ask you now, you are just coming off being on the blue team side of things. What was not in the pen test report, or what, in your opinion, could be better from a blue team perspective when you got pen test reports that kind of fueled some of these features in your product?
No, that's a good point. I think being able to have the collaboration piece, right? Being able to have touch points with the consultant after the fact, and like when you should be ready for a retest, those kinds of things were always important. And when you receive just a document, it's not really clear on, like, some consultants, that's it, right? And then they're gone, even though that's probably not good business practice. But so, I mean, that was just kind of an experience that we had. It was like making sure that we were kind of partnering with somebody that was going to be with us on the long haul and being able to collaborate. But like you said, I mean, you get different types of reports from lots of different people. So, I mean, all the things that make up a good report, sometimes you just wouldn't see those. Like what are the actual items that we're supposed to go fix, right? You showed us, you provided a narrative around
Right.
here's what you did, but what are the specific things that we need to actually go fix? So it's just important to not only have that narrative, but then it's easy to break things, and then some consultants don't necessarily focus on what are the ways to fix it, and frankly, some people may not know, right? Some people may just be used to hitting the scan button and putting out the findings without really understanding here are the things that you actually need to do to fix it.
Right. And, oftentimes it was more than just, well, you should go install this patch, right? Especially using Active Directory as an example, the things you might have to do to overcome some of the security weaknesses in Active Directory can get pretty lengthy and change quite a bit over time. And, without a tool like PlexTrac, I was always concerned on a team that I would write something up originally and then someone else would go do a test, basically need the same finding, not know that I wrote that report, write their own with less or more or better or worse information. And then you go to the third one and you only know about one of those previous tests, and you're really just doing the customer a disservice at that point. You want to consolidate that into a library and give them actionable things above and beyond close this port, apply this patch.
Right. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So from PlexTrac's perspective, that's the write-ups database. And then you have a central repository of all the reports that you've provided for a single client. So where you have the same language across all the different reports. And if a finding, you have to add additional information to it, you can add that to the write-up in the write-ups database. And then from there on out, every time you bring it in, you're staying consistent across your team too. So that's a good point. It's very important to stay consistent across your different testers.
Yeah, because getting a report without how do I fix these issues is really bad.
Yeah.
But then the advice has to be better. What's included in vulnerability scanning results, mileage varies. Oftentimes it's not great. But what the penetration tester can add is insights into the overall architecture, not just do these technically specific things, but make recommendations on how to adjust your architecture, your culture, your processes to be in a better position to defend yourself against the attacks.
And even providing multiple options too, right?
Right.
Things like, hey, if this GPO setting, this may break your whole infrastructure. So that's the ideal way, but if you can't do that, here's some other ways. And that just comes with experience too, right? So where you have a seasoned pen tester or somebody that has that blue team experience, then in your recommendations section, you've actually got some options for them to pick from, which I think is valuable.
Absolutely.
I'm having flashbacks over here. I'm thinking about, we've got some findings where the recommendation has been what looks completely trivial, and turns out it'll take 6 months and a lot of analysis not to stop life as we know it, to do it and do it right, just to exaggerate a little bit. So having that other dimension, and actually not only that, as you're producing reports, to have history go back where you've run into the same issue, but you've found a great way to explain it that not only the management can understand, but the technical staff won't take your head off because you have no idea what you're asking for, is a huge win.
So, Dan, what are some of the other features that you've built in based on your experience and feedback from pen testers and customers alike?
Oh yeah, great question. And and we do have a little demo that we can show.
Oh yeah, let's just do that
everyone.
then. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it. Let's see it. We want to see it.
All right, cool. Let me share my screen here. So it comes from years of not only writing these reports but receiving these reports.
Now wait, Dan. Sorry, before you get started, just so we can put this in context, is this something you host in the cloud or on premise?
Oh yeah, good question. We have 3 options. We have a cloud multi-tenant version. We have a private hosted version where we still host it, but it's maintained. It's a private instance to the client, and then an on-premise version. So
Gotcha.
it deploys really simply, like we were kind of mentioning to Larry before. It all runs in Docker containers, so it spins up pretty quick and
Nice.
easy.
And Dan, how is it packaged? Do I pay monthly? Is it total number of reports or?
Yeah, so we tailor a quote based on the type of usage you're going to get. So we don't like nickel and dime it to like, hey, you can only have this many clients or this many reports. We just kind of get some basic sizing and scope of like how big of an instance you might need, and then we just tailor the quote to that. So it's more based on like number of testers, number of reports that are going to be generated, but then it's just a site license.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Good question. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, so
let's see it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's geared towards being a collaborative environment, right? So as valuable as that static document is for the report and the engagement, having a place to come and get real-time analytics was always part of the vision for PlexTrac. And so this is the dashboard that you see when you log in. It shows the number of reports in progress and the total number of findings. The write-ups database is our repository of those issues, but then you can kind of get a trend of like, here's how many issues are getting opened and closed. And this is what the client would see if they log in as well. So some people will use this as a client portal, but kind of get the snapshot of view of like how many findings are open and closed and that kind of stuff. But we break everything down by client. For enterprise customers or internal teams to customers, will have these as business units or other projects, right? So, on a per client basis, you can see that you get the same statistics for that client, and then some access, who has access to the client. So just because you have access to the platform doesn't mean that you have access to every client. So you can have some granularity there. Then you just get a view of all the different reports that might exist across that client. And so this is the skeleton view of a report with just the issues, kind of like what we mentioned before. You get all the information, and then you can add exhibits like videos into the document or into the report.
So Dan, the videos, is that only if I set up a client portal?
So I mean, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we can't necessarily insert a video into a Word document, right? Right. Yeah. You can reference it later, and so like you could, deliver a document, but then they can access it through the platform.
Gotcha.
But these, this is kind of some of your standard sections or of a write-up, but you can have custom fields. This is that collaborative feature where you can bring comments and updates as you're working through the issue with the customer, right? So this is definitely more geared towards the client portal piece. But being able to have that timeline view of how they're working on issues, it may, if you're a service provider, it may allow you to have additional opportunity for growing your services and helping them fix issues. We support code samples, so you can have different formats of different exhibits in the report. From the readout view is kind of like that executive summary. So if you didn't want to have to produce a separate PDF or a separate PowerPoint presentation, this is a good way to navigate the report itself. So this is definitely, I'll pause here for a second. This is definitely a pain point that I had. Like, I don't know that many people ever thought about this, but like whenever I would do a lot of readouts, you'd be halfway through the Pentest readout, and then someone would ask a question about an issue that you talked about half an hour ago. Mm-hmm. Right? And so you got to rifle through the slide deck or, scroll through it just was awkward. It's just made for an awkward moment. And right. So this was purely meant to solve that problem, but it is another nice way to navigate the report. So that you can just kind of navigate back and forth between the different findings pretty quickly.
Now, largely what I believe you're showing, Dan, is a penetration tester is taking whatever they've collected using whatever tools and added that into a report. There are ways to automatically get findings into this reporting structure and then also build on that, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so that was kind of like a baked out report. We're going to kind of show, I guess we're going to jump into the templating, but while we're showing the custom templating thing where we have our own, well, it's a Jinja 2 language syntax that you can insert findings and data into the report. But to kind of get back to your question, the video will show here shortly that there's 3 different ways to get findings into a report within PlexTrac. You can do a custom form, so if something very unique to that engagement. You can bring in findings from the write-ups database. So those are those standard library of issues that you've standardized on, for consistency's sake. So things that you're kind of finding frequently across multiple clients or multiple engagements. And then you can import from scanning tools. So we support parsing from a lot of the different the major vulnerability scanners and things like that. So
could you do like conditional statements in the report, like if a scan finding is above this CVSS score, include it in the report, but if it's lower, don't?
You could in the Word template.
Yeah.
Right now, we just import all the findings into PlexTrac,
Okay.
right? And so then when you're exporting it into the templating language from there, you can,
Gotcha.
you can make, and that's one nice thing about the templating language is that you can have all the data in PlexTrac and then spit it out to different templates, right? So, so like here,
and Jinja 2 is pretty good. Variable scope is very, very tight and limited in Jinja 2. So as long as you're not doing a lot with variables, with a reporting template though, you're probably not doing a whole lot with variables, right?
Yeah, we have it all documented on what variables you reference for all the different fields within PlexTrac. Yeah, so you see everything in PlexTrac is markdown, and we convert it into the Word styles. So you have a lot of flexibility, and this is another kind of what makes a good penetration test report. We've had the exposure for a lot of our clients, a lot of different templates that we've converted for them, right? And so just some small things are, in the finding itself, a lot of people like to put those findings into tables, right? And I don't know that people really feel the pain of the recipient of trying to copy and paste text out of a table, right? Or out of an individual cell. So those are just so. In fact, we just released a white paper today, kind of in conjunction about how to write a killer pen test report. I gave it to Johnny to put in the show notes, but
I think it's there already. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here we're showing how you would actually start a pen test report. We can bring in different templates, which is templated language. You can select the methodology that you were using, the different engagement types. So if this engagement included multiple types of testing, you can highlight that and you can reference it then in the Word doc as well. And then what operators were included on the engagement. And then start and end dates. All these are optional too. So for our enterprise customers, they may use this as a or like a vuln management tool or even like a GRC tool. So some of these fields may not be relevant to them, but another nice thing that we've just released recently is the ability to tag data. So you can tag findings, you can tag reports, and you can tag clients. That is referenceable in the Word templates, but also will be very handy from an analytics perspective. So here you see it brought in all that methodology and all that document just because we selected the template, and then we can edit it from there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's okay. So you're providing templates for us to help write a report. Could I then create a template that leverages your template? Like whenever I do an engagement, it's Bob and Sam, and these things are picked, or do I do that every time? In other words, I have some standard things I want done.
Right. Yeah. So if you select, you can in the template section, you can select which template it's going to bring in, and so it would always have those sections into the executive summary. And then if you have a specific write up or a finding, like we're showing here, you can select those from the write ups database, and they automatically populate it in. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
I think it does.
That's nice.
Well, so so you mentioned you could do a Word document to export it. What does the customer portal user see? I mean, this is really cool and interactive. The Word document almost looks like a come down.
Well, so I mean, I think the long-term vision is that the portal is really used for the dynamic aspects of the engagement, right? Once it's been delivered, you can collaborate through the portal. You can show updated status, and that the Word document is just another artifact of the engagement itself. It's still valuable,
yeah.
Right? And you can still have it branded, and definitely it can serve as an attestation, right? So a lot of our customers definitely have to perform attestation, and so even just generating, from the blue team side, generating an attestation report is a very time-consuming thing. So so having that status here. And so kind of this is more of that collaborative piece where you can assign issues to people, and you can kind of show the progress, and then you get notifications if you've been assigned to an issue. So the long-term play here is that it really feeds the entire life cycle from engagement to report to workflow and mitigation and retest, and then you can highlight your progress over time.
So Dan, does the customer portal, they get access to that? Like, let's say you're a pen test company, we have a client, and we're doing a quarterly test for them. Can we put that in their portal, and then they can fix stuff and mark it as fixed, and then we can retest it, and it's almost like an ongoing engagement?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, right? So when you talk about some of those things that we're missing, is like the whole retest cycle and collaboration after the report. It's not there right now, right? And so that's the problem that we feel we've solved.
It's actually a nice selling point for pen test companies too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing we didn't show in the demo is you can white label that. You can add your logo to the login page and to the to the top left and stuff like that.
So when you're closing out an issue, I noticed there was a comment box. Can you also collect supporting evidence and attach it?
Yeah, not today, but that's actually coming. We just need to add that to that little comment box. We have a new editor where you could actually add screenshots into it, but like actually adding like a document or something like that, that's coming.
I mean, because it's like, when I'm working with closing out an issue, it's like I want the guy to show me that prove it. Don't just tell me an email it's all fixed. I mean, let's look here, and I want to capture that to show that what I did, so that I don't get questioned.
Yeah.
Nice to get questioned.
And on that side of the house too, from the workflow and mitigation techniques, we do integrate with Jira and ServiceNow. So it doesn't have to necessarily interrupt the engineers and analysts workflow, but you can have PlexTrac be the central repository for all those security related issues, and then only insert the ones that you want into Jira or ServiceNow.
But I want their work to come to a hard stop.
Security is always the number one priority, right?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. You just have to read between the lines.
That's right. That's right. Which isn't necessarily true. But so the data that we're talking about storing here in PlexTrac is obviously sensitive, Dan. What have you built into the product in forms of like encryption or other controls to make sure that that data is secure as it can be?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, we have role-based access control, obviously. So, like, if you're exposing it to multiple clients, they can't access anything that they haven't been granted access to.
Now, wait, did you guys have a pen test from someone else or yourself to verify all? Right, because that's a finding we often find on a pen test. Is like user A can access user B's data with
Right. Yeah. We're actually in the process of having a pen test from a third party. Being an AppSec pen tester, I've always just tested it myself. And it's interesting. Like being a developer, you do identify like, hey, I might be introducing like a cross-site request forgery issue here.
Yep.
But I've tested it myself, right? And so, not to say that there's not vulnerabilities that might exist, but we do take it seriously because of the data that we're processing, and that's why we offer the multiple environments and ways to deploy.
Right.
So things like encryption at rest, we're working on from the data at the field level. Obviously, the disk level is there, and then SSL and all that jazz. But we do take that very seriously.
More secure, likely, than emailing it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I mean, that's another good point. Just that whole workflow of like, how do you deliver the document, right? I mean, how do you get the pen test report to the recipient? You
need another third party,
right? Or
another third party. Yeah. And then is it the pen test companies or is it the clients? And whose secure document storage do you use? And then you have to configure it, and it's a huge pain in the butt. As Larry's shaking his head. He's been there, right?
Yeah. So this does serve as that touch point of being able to deliver the document through a secure channel.
Yeah, because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about the word here is a vulnerability needs to protect it at the same level of protections required for the information that vulnerability provides access to. How's that for double talk? In other words, if you've got a really sensitive facility that's kind of vulnerability, you have to have it stored in a sensitive facility of equal security or information. So which is really hard for somebody trying to provide a service to more than the multiple customers. I have to imagine you're trying to get a balance on how much security is too much. And I don't mean that in an oxymoron sense. I mean, you can get carried away, particularly for people like me with huge budgets, and failure is not an option.
Well,
Right.
what's interesting, the data that you're storing in there is more critical and or sensitive before it's delivered to the customer. Once it's delivered to the customer, then they know about it, right? At least they could put some kind of protect, or at least they know about those attack paths that the testers documented, right? But from the time it's created, that gap in time until it's delivered is when it's really the most critical.
I'd also argue that if someone were to compromise the environment and then they have access to all of these reports, and maybe not everything in the attack paths has been remediated yet,
right?
That's also
exactly
quite sensitive.
Exactly. But still better than I think what we had before.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cute.
Not disputing that at all.
What are the other integrations? And how, do you guys use kind of off-the-shelf tools on like what percentage of tests, or are you more doing those tests where it's mostly custom now?
Yes.
So it varies, yeah.
Yeah, so we integrate. We parse Nessus, Burp, Nexpose, Veracode, Acunetics. We've almost wrapped up a NetSparker parser, and then basically any tools that our customers are using. We go ahead and write parsers for, and then we're working on API integrations with those, more for the enterprises that are wanting to use it from the vuln management perspective, where we'll integrate with like Tenable.io or Tenable Security Center, Qualys's API. Oh, that's another. We do parse Qualys as well. So we have most of the big hitters, and then as we bring on other customers that have those other tools, we add parsers to it. So
now, Dan, here's what I really want. I really want it to just watch what I'm doing while I'm doing the pen test, whatever I'm using, and then automatically generate my report. That's what I want.
Nice.
Perfect.
Like, even if you had to put an agent on my system, right, and intercept the traffic, like, that'd be cool, because I could be pen testing, and then it would just be in the background writing the report. But I'm sure there's integrations that you've considered already that, as something's happening, it's putting data in PlexTrac that maybe it's not auto-generating the report, right, but these artifacts are going in there, so then I go to one place, and it's much easier to track what's going on. I don't know if you've got anything you haven't talked about yet in that light.
I guess I think a good example might be like a bug bounty program. So like we're working on if you're hosting your own bug bounty form, instead of that going to like a security inbox or some shared mailbox, it can come straight into a report in PlexTrac that you can triage and immediately start either deduplicating the issue or closing it out and starting to immediately work on it. And with that, we do plan to integrate via API with some of those major bug bounty programs platforms as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Any misconceptions you've had to dispel about what you're doing?
So like we get asked now, wait, are you doing the testing? So we get asked that a lot.
Are you doing the remediation? Can we go the other way too?
Right.
Do the pen test, automatically generate the report, then take the recommendations and go implement them, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest misconception is whether we're not a services company. We're a product company, and we're relying on the experts to use the platform to write the reports. So they're the ones generating the information. As we move forward, we'll be integrating more automated fashion for those scanners and things like that. But I think that's the biggest misconception, is that we don't do any of the actual testing.
So when you mentioned the integrations, and I was wondering, are we talking about live integrations, or are we talking about export a file that you can then consume, like a data feed?
Right. So today that we do the latter, right? Today you export an XML file from Nessus or Burp, and we insert it. You basically upload it to PlexTrac, and we parse out those results and insert the findings into a report. On the roadmap is to actually integrate via API. So if they have an on-prem instance of, I guess Tenable.io is a cloud, right? So
calls too. Yeah, but the APIs that would work. That would work. I've worked with those APIs, right? That would work really well. And you could even create specific scans and then tell PlexTrac go over the API, pull just those results, and just keep it updated.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, from what we do integrate today is Jira. We integrate with the Jira API and then the ServiceNow API.
Of course.
So
you're creating tickets real time.
Yeah, you can. We make sure that PlexTrac doesn't automatically create those tickets, because you may not want every single finding in PlexTrac to be in Jira, because Jira is great, for project management, but you may not want everybody having access to those findings. So.
Yeah, it doesn't track the remediation status or anything like that natively in Jira, right? I think this is where you fit, right? And I'm thinking about it because my next question was the CI/CD pipeline. If I'm a pen tester or running tools against a DevOps operation that's pushing out a release every day, I want to capture the finding, have it create a Jira ticket, but then I want them coming back into PlexTrac to see my findings, test it, get all the code, tell me that they fixed it, and then have the reverse happen and go update it so that I can go retest. And by automating that, then you can really fit inside of a DevOps process.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jira today will sync the comments, like any comments that get made in that Jira ticket will sync back into that status tracker in PlexTrac, like you saw. And if the ticket gets resolved in Jira, it will close out the issue in PlexTrac.
Right. So it goes both ways, which is not always the case in integrations.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Cool.
So when will you be releasing the PlexTrac Paul nanny again?
The what?
The nanny that watches Paul do his work?
Oh, yeah. We've got a little agent that we're going to install and should be good to go.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Dan?
I do not.
And Dan, where can people find more? Go ahead. Sorry, Lee.
No. I was saying, do we have 5 more for him?
We do. Yes. But where can people find more? Now, is there like a trial or a demo? Like if people are interested and they've heard this, they want to kick the tires on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So just go to plextrac.com. And we have a YouTube channel with some videos up there now, but can you request a demo, and we'll hop on a demo and give it to you, and then get you into a free trial as well. And then, like I said, we did just release a white paper on how to write a killer Pentest report. It's kind of a combination of a lot of what we've been talking about today. And so you can request that on the website as well.
plextrac.com/Security Weekly.
PLEXTRAC.
Or securityweekly.com/PlexTrac.
There you go.
PlexTrac with a C.
PLEX.
PLEXTRAC. Correct. Awesome. Well, Dan, that was a lot of fun. I wish this was created when I was doing pen testing. I might have done it longer, still been doing it, had it not been for the reporting, right? The reporting
sucks, man. Everybody hates it.
So we just have 5 questions for you, Dan. You ready to play 5 questions with Security Weekly?
All right. I'm ready to go.
3 words to describe yourself.
Trusting. Is humble, is that an oxymoron then if I say that? And hardworking, I guess that's 2 words, but
we can hyphenate. It's totally fine. There's very loose rules in Security Weekly.
Right.
Yes.
Dan, if you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
Oh my gosh, what is that? What kind of question is that?
A hypothetical one.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
What comes to mind is I can't even remember what movie it is, but someone threatens to kill someone with a spoon, and that sounds very torturous. So let's just say a spoon, a dull spoon.
Dan, if you wrote a book about yourself, what would the title be?
Oh.
And I love how you were like, what is that question? And then your answer is a dull spoon. That was awesome.
Yep.
Nailed it, buddy.
Big redhead takes on the world.
In the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
First.
Choose 2 celebrities to be your parents.
Alive, dead, fictional, or otherwise.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I'm not really into pop culture that much. I'll be honest. I do a lot of coding and hacking.
Well, surely you have some ideas. Surely you have some fantasies. Surely, wait.
What?
For whatever reason, George Clooney comes to mind. I don't know why.
All right.
And then let's just say Sandra Bullock.
All right.
There you go. There are no right or wrong answers, and we don't.
Right, I know. It's like there's a lot of pressure here.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for appearing on Paul's Security Weekly. Again, our listeners can find more at securityweekly.com/PlexTrac. Dan, thanks again.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate it.
And with that, we'll take a short break and come back with the security news. Stay tuned.